Hello and welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things etiquette. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. In our last full YouTube video, I told you that we're not quite ready to go out in public yet. We have done the clean canvas, so we are ready to get clothed and go out. However, there are some things we need to discuss. And in the YouTube short, I told you all that we will be starting the segment on social etiquette, dealing with communication. And that is what this video will start with, communication. What is communication? Communication is anything that conveys a message to another person or you receiving a message from another person. Think about the communication part of social etiquette as an onion. Anyone that has cut onions will know that an onion has layers. And that's how we're going to approach the communication aspect of social etiquette, in layers. The first layer to communication is introduction. Where do you often have to introduce yourself? Away from the home, in social settings. That's why we're now on social etiquette. So when a person approaches you in person and they ask you, what is your name? The proper way to respond to that is by your first and last government or the name that your parents or grandparents or whomever gave you at birth. You should not respond with a nickname or a street name. Give them your first and last government name. And hopefully they will give you their name in return. The next thing that is just on that outer layer of the onion is when a person asks you, where are you from? That opens the door for you to be able to say, I'm from whatever city or state you're from, or country, because you may be from different countries. What you don't want to do is give too much too fast. That can actually run a person off, turn a person off. You want to stay on the surface. Answer the questions that's being posed to you, and hopefully they will in turn give you the same answers. When they start asking deeper questions, then that's how you answer. But don't volunteer too much too soon. Okay? Another aspect is oftentimes we don't use the proper volume for the environment we are in. And what do I mean by that? Let me give you a few examples. If you're at a restaurant and you're sitting with 3 or 4 other people at your table, your conversation should not be heard by other people in the section that you're sitting in. If you're at a fine dining restaurant, the people at your table should only hear your conversation. Okay? Now, if you're at a restaurant that is like a sports bar, it's louder. So your volume may be a little more elevated. And that's understandable because in the sports bar, they have TVs and monitors all around. So you're competing, your voice is competing with all that's going on in the restaurant, the cooking, the bottles in the bar, and the televisions. So you speak a little louder. In the fine dining restaurant, you don't have to do that. Here's another example. If you're at a concert, it's always loud. So you speak louder to the people you're with or the people you're talking to, because you may be talking to the people behind you or next to you. If you're at a ball game, at a football game, for example, yes, you do speak louder because you're also competing with other people talking. You're competing with the sound of the game. You're competing with the band. So you're speaking at an elevated volume. However, you don't want to draw negative attention to yourself when you are speaking. So still, you're talking at an elevated volume, but remember, everyone doesn't have to hear your conversation. Everyone doesn't have to know your business. Okay? Now, when you're asked questions, for example, a person may, after asking you your name and where you're from, they may ask you, what school did you go to? Here is where you have to learn to gauge the person and gauge based on the environment you're in. Because if you're at a collegiate ball game and the person asks, what school did you go to? They're probably asking what college you went to. And that is how you should answer it. If you're at a high school football or basketball game, they're probably asking what high school you went to. And you answer the question appropriately. If you're at the high school game and they ask you what school you went to, they may probably not asking you what college you went to. They're asking you what high school, because you have to gauge based off of the environment that you are in. Okay? Here's another thing that we have to keep in mind. Social etiquette always includes thank you, no thank you, yes please, Mr., Miss, Mrs., Doctor, Attorney. Always put handles on people's names unless the person tells you, oh, just call me Bill. At that point, you have been given the invitation to call that person by their first name. Until you have been given that invitation, you should always put handles on people's names. Okay? And when you are speaking, ladies, you're telling what you need to know. There's no need to be animated and do all of this and head movement and minimize, eliminate the animation. Learn to communicate vocally with your mouth, articulate, pronunciate your words properly. Focus on the delivery of what you're going to say. And we will talk about pronunciation, enunciation, articulation, and delivery of what you're saying. We will get to that. But just keep in mind, we don't have to be animated in everything we do. We need to learn how to communicate with our mouth as opposed to our extremities all the time. Okay? So remember, we're going and peeling back the layers of the onion. We're still on the top. We're only talking about introductions. Only talking about introductions. And remember, when you're giving introductions, and remember, you're not trying to give away too much information. It's important to remember introductions are important because introductions give you the power to push, pause, and stop. What do I mean by push, pause, and stop? If you're talking to someone and they have given you their name, they've told you where they're from, where they currently live, and then they go on to tell you about their children and where their children went to school and a host of other things that you didn't ask. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, if they're giving too much too fast, you have the ability to push, pause, and stop. You don't have to go any further. That is the good thing about taking the introductions slow, because some things that some people offer in the beginning are appropriate for intimate conversations, meaning I don't need to know about your whole life story in the beginning. I didn't ask you that. I just wanted to know your name. I just wanted to know where you were from, because maybe a conversation could have been sparked based off of your location of your birth or where you currently live. I don't need to know all of the rest of that. But when you push, pause, and stop, it gives you the ability to see the red flags and determine whether you want to move forward with the conversation or not. And also remember that other person has the ability to see red flags as well. And they can push pause and stop also. So be mindful when you are giving your information and be mindful receiving the information. You have the ability to push pause and stop. When you're out in public and you're going to establishments that have doors that need to be physically opened, not the circular doors where you just step in and they go around, but if a door needs to be open and there is a man, regardless of the age, it could be a little boy. If he's strong enough to open that door and he opens it for you, as a lady, you should always say thank you. Never assume, well, that's what he's supposed to do or that's what he has to do. No, he doesn't. He's doing it as a little person because he's being taught properly. Or if it's a grown man, an older gentleman, always say thank you. That is what ladies do. And you'd be surprised how many men don't get the thank yous when the door is open. They don't get the thank yous when they help with a bag of groceries. And don't think just because they help you with a bag of groceries or opening the door, they want to make advances with you. A lot of times they're just being polite. And we have to remember that. We go to the gas station and all of us have experienced it. We go to the gas station, we swipe the card, we start pumping the gas, and here comes someone. And we don't want to be bothered. It happens, but here is the way to handle it. We're talking about communication and we're staying in our ladylike mode at all times, remember. When we are approached and we do not want to be approached, how do we do it? He comes up to you and he asks for your name. Remember, push pause and stop. You can give your name if you want to. If you don't want to give your name, all you have to do is say, I'm sorry, but I don't feel like sharing that information at this time. If you want to give your name, that's on you. But you always have the ability to push pause and stop and respond in a polite fashion. I'm sorry, but I don't feel like sharing that information at this time. And I guarantee you, okay, he didn't get what he wanted, but he'll receive that better than if you say, why? Why you want my name? That's not called for. It's really not. Oftentimes we are pressed for time, we are stressed, we have places to go and things to do. And that's understandable. So if there's times, it could be at the gas station, it could be at the grocery store, whatever. If you don't want to be bothered, all you have to do is say, I'm sorry, but I don't feel like sharing that information right now. That's all you have to say in a polite fashion. Okay? So this is just a slither of the outer part of the onion when it comes to communication and social etiquette. When you go out on your daily journey today, look at what other people are doing. Look at what you're doing. Think about, am I speaking too loud? Am I sharing too much information? Did I respond in a polite fashion? Or could I have said that better? Assess yourself. I do it all the time. And it's okay. That is our goal, to become polished and refined in everything that we do as ladies. So until we meet again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. And I'll see you on the next video where we discuss all things etiquette.